Hey, Rick Fass here with the Rick Fass Musicians Workshop. Today we're going to be talking about sound dispersion coming out of a combo amplifier. And what I mean by sound dispersion is that as players, when we stand close to our amplifier, we hear all the frequencies coming out, lows, highs, mids, the whole deal. And as we come off axis or we walk to the side of the amplifier, the amp sounds or a tone sounds differently. However, those people sitting in the front row are getting the highs right in their face. We call that phenomena, if you will, we call it beaming. So we have a device today we want to talk about that can address this particular issue. We'll be working with a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe version 3. It has a 12-inch speaker, 40 watts, pair of 6L6s. This amp is a great sounding amp right out of the box. What we want to demonstrate to you is what we call the beaming effect. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a microphone, put it at center, and then we'll move it to stage left, stage right, as I'm playing the guitar. And you'll hear the difference in the highs as we move around the microphone. Okay, so playing a Les Paul, and just be playing some chords, and listen to what happens as the microphone moves from center to side to side. Now we're all the way over to one side. Probably here where the highs have just kind of, they're not there. Okay, we're moving closer to center now. You hear the highs coming back in. Right at center. Now we're starting to move to the other side. Listen to what happens to the highs. Whole different effect now with the highs. So all those highs are beaming straight ahead. So people in the first row, and as far as your ears are being deceived to a certain degree about how your sound is overall. Not to mention your other bandmates don't hear you quite as well. Back to center. Okay, let's just talk about the anatomy of the speaker. This is the cone. This is the frame. Magnet. These are the terminals as far as where the speaker gets wired. And right here is the center of the speaker. This is where all the highs come out. And you can see just by the positioning of the center of the speaker, the highs typically, because of the frequency in which they actually are, will tend to go in a straight line. So that's where this whole phenomena becomes a bit of a problem for us as players. So what we're going to introduce to you is a product called a beam blocker. If ever you happen to see any of Stevie Ray's videos, you may notice that in the middle of where his speakers are, he actually used duct tape. He created an X and put it right where he thought the speakers were beaming. Duct tape works, but there's a better solution. Also, many people like to use CDs, actually put an aluminum CD in there. Ted Weber, who is a speaker manufacturer and creator and designer, came up with a product that he calls a beam blocker. What happens is the highs actually hit this disc and dissipate, so you get a much better spread of the highs, much more even, and it does not affect any phase issues. Overall, the amp just sounds smoother, does not hurt your tone. If anything, it makes it sound better and much more widespread. So you're not going to hurt anybody in the front seat. Your bandmates can hear you much, much better. You can see there's a metal rod that has holes in it, and I'll show you where this goes. This actually gets attached in front of the speaker. And when we install it, what you'll see is this beam blocker label where this part will actually face the speaker. What we're going to do now is we're going to remove the 4 screws holding in the speaker. Also, I just want to point out, take a look at this cable. Okay, we're going to replace this with a cable that I put together. I'm using a Switchcraft 90-degree plug with, this is 14 gauge wire. What I found is that by putting a better quality wire between the amplifier and the speaker, you'll actually get more information coming through it. I would highly recommend that you experiment with different wires, different brands, and listen to what actually comes through the cable. What we're going to do is we're going to replace the Celestion with this warehouse guitar speaker. It's called a Retro 30. It's rated at 75 watts. It's 8 ohms, which is what this amp is set up to do. And what we're trying to accomplish here maybe is a little bit fatter tone overall, cleaner highs, deeper mids, and much deeper bass. So I think that the frequency response of this speaker should give us overall better tone. This is the speaker, the Celestion that we pulled out. It's rated at 8 ohms. I believe it's rated at 50 watts, and it's made in China. The weight of the speaker it's pretty light in the comparative. So we're going to unclip these wires, and then we'll start putting in the beam blocker, and then we'll add the new speaker. Looking at the speakers in a comparison, you notice that both of them have this shiny stuff on it. This is called doping, and what it does, it gives more rigidity to the cone. You also notice the depth of the cone. The warehouse guitar speaker is actually deeper, which will actually give us more throw and more information. If pressing down on the center point, this is really, really soft. It's kind of hard to tell how big the voice coil is. I'm guessing it's probably a 2-inch. This is either a 1.5 or a 2-inch as well. You see this yellow thing in the middle? That's called the spider, and that's what kind of allows the speaker to move. This cone in my fingers actually feels pretty soft, which tells me that the speaker would tend to break up a lot faster than a more stiff cone. Let's take a look at the warehouse guitar speaker. Here's the warehouse guitar speaker. Take a look at the physical side of that spider. I also have more rigidity in the cone, which tells me that I'll have less of the speaker, more of the amplifier. This becomes, to me, a better vehicle for getting overall sound from the amplifier. Here's the beam blocker. But keep in mind that when you install it, you want to make sure that the disc faces the speaker. And the nice thing about this, the way it fits, the holes will align perfectly. You don't want to install it so that the disc is facing the grill cloth. That's totally not going to work. So when it's in, the label will be pointing like this, or you can do it like this, or however you want to have the label. It's no big deal. I guess if you want, you can even take the label off. We're going to leave it on. We're proud of that label. Okay, so all we need to do is put it over the holes, and then we're going to put the speaker on top of it. Okay, keep in mind when you put the speaker in, you want to have it so that the holes line up properly, and you also want to make sure that you have access to the terminals. So we're just going to lay it out so it's sitting right over the hole. And you can line up the holes, no problem, and just put the screws in about maybe halfway. Make sure you got all 4. And as you tighten them down, you want to do one, wherever you start, do the opposite side, just like you're putting a tire on a car. And just tighten them down, torque them down tight. You don't have to do it to the point where you feel like you're going to break them. Just get them hand tight and you'll be good to go. We'll be soldering you can see on this wire, see the little positive marks here? That'll be for our positive terminal. The non-marked side will be for our negative. Again, I'm using a switchcraft plug. We can do a comparison to what came as the original equipment. It's pretty thin wire, and it's also a molded plug. Typically, there's not a whole lot of movement on this wire in the plug, but if this thing were ever to break, you'd have to replace the plug because it's not serviceable. It's a smart idea, and I found this after making this mistake many, many times. Put a little protection underneath the terminals where you're going to be soldering, so that in the event if a piece of solder falls down or something drips, it only hits the piece of paper, not the cone. And again, on the wire, looking for the positive side. And now the negative side. We're good. We have the speaker and beam blocker in place, as well as the new speaker cable. Now we'll start checking it out. So here is microphone center. Okay, now we're moving to my left. We're moving back to center. That's center moving to my right. Moving back to center. Moving to my left again. Back to center. Over to my right. For less than $100, we made this amplifier sound so much better. We added the beam blocker, we added a new speaker, we added better wire coming from the amplifier to the speaker. This is the way we can get better tone out of our amplifier. I'm Fass, Musicians Workshop. See you next time.